Do you make eye contact? Hi, I'm Brian Pombo. Welcome back to Brian J. Pombo Live. I want to talk a little bit about eye contact, but not just for the sake of eye contact, right? I want to talk to you about what it means to have proper eye contact. And I've got a little story that goes along with it. So early on, when I first started out in business, I got to meet a whole lot of people that I would have never met otherwise. And I got to run into some very interesting personalities, extremes on all sides, from extremely hyperactive to extremely quiet, all around and in between. And one of the people I ran into was one gentleman that did not make eye contact. And I mean, very briefly, every once in a while he would look up while he was talking to you and make brief eye contact. And if he saw that you were looking at him, he'd look away. And I remember it very clearly, and because I never met anybody that did that. My family, it was all about eye contact. You know, if I wasn't looking my dad in the eye when he was talking to me, he'd make a point about it. You know, and just being raised in that environment, everything was all about giving direct attention to the person you're talking to. It's a form of respect. I mean, whether you do it or not. And I've met many entrepreneurs that have gone much further than I have in terms of wealth and so forth, and that are horrible with people. But I've found that the happiest people are those that can learn how to communicate properly with people. And part of communicating properly is showing attentiveness. And part of showing attentiveness is proper eye contact. And I would point it out to people, like the gentleman I was talking to. I pointed it out to him, and probably a bit too harshly, because I hadn't really learned much tact until a little later. But if you can point it out to somebody, you can show them, and whether it's you or whether it's somebody else, which quite oftentimes it's going to be somebody else that you run into, and just point out and say, I'm sorry, am I interrupting anything, or I was just wondering, is there a reason why you're not looking at me or whatever? So sometimes it's just a subtle little thing to just point it out. And years later, I've known this person, and they have perfect eye contact. It wasn't more than a few months of being around this person before they make enough eye contact that it makes you uncomfortable. You know, where it's like, it's one of these things, when someone really looks at you with intensity, sometimes you feel like you got to look away. And so that's another thing to keep in mind, is that when you're talking with somebody, is not to stare them down either, because that's weird and awkward. But it's just like everything. It just takes just a subtlety, but what it does is it shows that you're aware that they're talking, you're aware that they're listening to you while you're talking. It's a little thing that makes a huge difference. It's a very subtle little thing that oftentimes we never talk about these type of things. In school and everything else, they'll never discuss these type of concepts. But basic interpersonal communication happens even when you're at a distance electronically. So if you're doing, let's say, videos or video chatting over Zoom or anything of that sort, it's very important that you not stare at the screen. Because if I stare at the screen, yeah, it looks like I'm looking kind of at you, but not as much as when I'm doing this. See, when I'm looking at you this way, I'm looking at that camera as if it's an eyeball. And so if I'm talking to somebody, I'm listening to their words, but I'm paying closer attention to that eyeball than I am the rest of their face. I don't need to see the rest of their face. I can see it peripherally, right? But if I look directly in there, it means a little something more. It's on a subconscious level. It really is a subconscious thing. And so something as simple as that can help improve communication, and helping improve communication improves relationships with people. Even if it's just a very subtle, short-term relationship, an acquaintance or what have you, all the way to when you meet someone and end up building it into something a whole lot longer. Sometimes that type of bond needs to happen. It starts with proper one-on-one communication. So it's a little thing, makes a big difference, and it's the third pillar that we've been talking about these last couple nights, of the three pillars that I have. And the third pillar is being relationship reliant. You have to understand the importance of relationships, and you got to teach that to other people, whether they be your employees, whether they be your friends and partners, whether they be your children or grandchildren or nephews and nieces. It's important to be able to pass that along, because it's a little thing that's made a huge difference in my life, and I've been able to point it out to other people, and I know it's made a difference in theirs. So hopefully that makes sense to you. This is one of those little tiny things. It's a principle, really. It's a great big thing, but it's a little tiny tactic that represents a huge principle. And we like to talk about principles, strategies, and tactics every night here, especially when it comes to business ownership. So if you, for example, if you own a business, and or you're the executive, you're one of the people in charge, a decision maker, and you're looking to take things to the next level. I'm gonna put this offer out. I put it out nearly every night, and that's for the Amazon Proof Strategy session. This is a special session between me and a business owner or a team of business owners, where we sit down and talk about your business and see how we can take you from where you're at to where you want to be in somewhere in the future, and design a plan in a very short period of time. You'd be surprised how long it would take. Really about 30 to 60 minutes, and we can have something pretty definite to be able to set out, and I may be able to know the people that can help you get there too. So go check that out. That's at brianjpombo.com/Amazon. We'll be back tomorrow night. I'm going to give you another tip on top of that for being relationship reliant. Once again, it's the little things that make a big difference. We'll see you tomorrow. In the meantime, get out there and just let the magic happen.